This show contains themes and language that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Viewer discretion? It's a podcast. Son of a bitch. Hello and welcome to Weird Careers. I'm Eric.
And I'm Jess.
All over the world, yes, the earth is round. People get up and go to work. But there are some fun and unusual career paths out there, and we are here to explore them.
Everything from sex workers to writers, tarot readers, and everything in between.
Join us on our hunt around the globe to find these weird careers and dig deep into each and every single one.
Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Weird Careers Podcast to get all of our updates and behind the scenes.
Also, be sure to follow the show itself on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and so much more.
Do you think that you have a weird or interesting career? Stay tuned to the end of the show to find out how to get a hold of us.
On today's episode, we have Vanessa Hurst, who is a psychic medium. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we are so happy to have you. And yes, I did say we. This isn't just myself on the show anymore. We do have a wonderful new co-host. Jess, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jessica. I'm so happy to be here.
So yeah, this is Jessica's first episode on Weird Careers with us. So big, huge, heartfelt welcome to Jess coming on board to Weird Careers.
Yay, Jess.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So before we dive deep and get into the nitty-gritty of being a psychic medium, tell us a little bit about yourself outside of work and like what kind of things do you like to do outside of work, outside of the psychicness?
I like watching movies. This is hard because I work a lot. If I'm not being a psychic or just doing the psychic thing, paranormal researcher, whatever, or teacher, I'm working at Spirit of Halloween,
Oh,
the
love
seasonal
that.
gig. I just finished. I'm so happy. Just finished. High 10. It was a really, really busy end season. So it was just like a blur. Other than that, I'm also an artist. I do a lot of portrait art. I do spirit art. I do oil painting, all sorts of things like that. Crafts, sewing. The list just, it's kind of crazy, actually. It just goes on and on. I love history, family. I love my family, all of that. Yeah.
Love that. So just not a lot of free time.
No.
So we're very grateful to have you on.
I'm actually very grateful to be here. Yes.
We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Good.
Okay, so talking about your work then, what is it do you do?
I am a sixth generation clairvoyant medium. So what that means is I see or can see the past, present, and future and speak to passed on loved ones, whether that be your human loved ones or your pet loved ones. I can also speak to guides, which are not always human as well.
Okay.
Of course, six generations in my family. This has been passed down, and I was formally taught originally by my uncle, Ralph Hurst from British Columbia, and he was a psychic medium. And then I was also taught by my grandmother, Dorothy Broughton, which was a psychic and tarot reader.
Okay.
And so
cool.
I got the best of both worlds, starting at about 17 years old. I knew I had this gift far before um, 17, but it was confirmed at 17. And then I just kind of started working on it with the family. And then I moved on, to wherever. Like if a teacher, clicked with me, I'd say, hey, yeah, I'll learn your teachings. And that's kind of bounced around and, checked out other, oh, yeah, I'm a reverend too. I forgot all about that. I checked out all these other
Hey,
Oh,
churches.
so cool.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry,
yeah, we'll just
God.
add another feather into that cap.
Woo, yeah. So yeah, I do that too. Uh, whatever. But yeah, so that's how it all kind of started on the professional side of things.
Mhm.
But again, I remember seeing Spirit at like 2 years old and them freaking me out like tremendously, pretty much my whole childhood.
I can
Yeah,
imagine.
No kidding. So
yeah.
diving perfect segue into that. You were saying you first realized you had this gift at like six, you said you were 6 years old. Was it six or did I get that wrong?
No, I'm sixth generation in my family.
Sixth generation family, yes.
Um,
Um,
I was probably, I don't know, maybe like, I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 13 when I knew that I was started to realize that I was a little bit different than the rest of the crew.
okay.
And like, I would like, okay, because I was given to legal guardians, um, and they were like, they grew up more in, oh, what would you call it? Like a Mennonite life.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were tobacco farmers up in Walsingham. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
here comes little Vanessa, and as an adopted child, and they're like, "Oh, what do we do with this one? She's different." And it all did start for them seeing it. It started about 6 years old when my real father died.
Mhm.
And that day they had sat me down and they had told me that my uncle, Jeff, had died. And because I hadn't seen him since I was 13 months old, so they didn't want to, screw my head up too bad by saying, hey, your dad died, but your dad's standing in front of you, because they never discussed that being little, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
And apparently, from the night of his funeral, they never took me to his funeral, to the funeral home or anything, but the night of his funeral, or the next morning, I should say, I woke up screaming and crying. My dad was shot. My dad was shot. He was shot in the head and blah, blah, like all this other stuff. Somebody
Mhm.
was trying to get the gun. He didn't commit suicide. And apparently, I did this for a good 2 years afterwards. Like my mom said, or my adopted mom said that it was like practically every morning I would wake up in this state, bawling my eyes out. And I will tell you, I have no recollection of that in those years whatsoever. The recollection I have was when I was 14 and I woke up on the anniversary of his death, bawling my eyes out
Oh,
and saying the same exact dream to my mom. She says it was just like a page. It was just like, basically Groundhog Day, except now I was 14.
wow.
And after all these years, they thought that it was done and over with. And I was always the kid too that would be able to find things. My parents, I mean, it was based on two things, that one.
Yeah.
And this is what it was. Number one, I was a snoop. And I had a great memory. And number two, I could just find things. So, I mean, that also gave me that psychic boost as a child as well. I didn't remember this until a school chum said to me, "Oh my God, Vanessa, don't you remember when you were 10 years old and you used to make up seances and you used to scare the shit out of all of us?" And I'd be like, what are you talking about? And then I remembered I used to have like this. trailer that my parents got us as a playhouse. It was this old wooden camping trailer.
Mhm.
And I would rig it all up, the pictures with fishing wire and everything else, and I'd pretend to play with a Ouija board.
That's
I
awesome.
was so bad. Yeah, it was not cool to my friends. I do remember them running and screaming. I always wonder why some of them never came back. But it was the adrenaline of the moment.
I love
And
that.
when I am on investigation, I will tell you that if you're ever on investigation with me, I will try and scare the crap right out of you,
I
just for
love that.
fun. You know, shits and gigs, right?
Right.
You know what? Ghosts have a sense of humor too. So, and they
Oh, I
really
believe
enjoy
it.
that stuff. Yeah, yeah.
So mediumship goes back six generations in your family. So this is
Yeah.
something that's well established. Obviously, this wasn't information that was privy to you, as a child. So when did that conversation happen, and how did that start to change how you see life and how you did things on a daily basis?
Well, it's the day that it was confirmed. Like I said, I was 17,
Hmm.
and I got upset because I couldn't find my real family. And
Hmm.
so I knew that they were in British Columbia. So I picked up the phone and I'm like, can I have British Columbia information, right? And
Hmm.
so, or 411 or whatever. And
Hmm.
so I asked for Ralph Hurst. And she's like, we have 97 directories.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I'm not having a good day. Just pick one. And I said, what's the biggest one? I remember her saying that. And she's like, Vancouver. And I'm like, fine, Vancouver. And the first number I was given, I got this very deep English voice. It sounded like a very large man. And if you're looking for Ralph Hurst, blah, 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 blah. So I started on the answering machine. I'm like, okay, it's Vanessa Hurst. And if you know Jeffrey Hurst, which was my dad, and all of a sudden I hear click and he's like, hello. And I'm
Oh.
like, yeah. And I'm like, it's me. Yay, everybody. You forgot about me. I'm here. And so they were overjoyed. And I said to them, I said, I gotta ask you a really weird question. Do you have like these really weird dreams where it feels like you're awake? And do you hear like voices and things like that? And I was really, really shy about asking it. And my uncle just all of a sudden just cut the silence with a ha ha ha, you're one of us. I'll never forget that. And from that day on, 100% my life changed for sometimes the better, sometimes the worst, sometimes the scariest.
Mhm.
But oh yes, yes, the rose-colored glasses was ripped off, and then he would fly me out to BC, and we would go to like Vancouver or like around BC, and then we'd go to Seattle and read all around there. And he would like take me to Jimi Hendrix's grave or Bruce and Brandon Lee's grave. That would be our outing for the afternoon. It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Good time. Yeah, and we would just read all day long and then go do funky stuff like that.
Done.
All right. So looking at your website,
Yeah,
it says that you're also, and I quote, a metaphysical teacher
I am.
and a talented portrait and spiritual artist, channeling her creativity into captivation works that reflect the ethereal beauty and profound messages of the spiritual realm. What does
Yes.
that mean?
What does that mean? It means that I read you, I call on one of your spirit guides, and I draw them, and I basically download their message for you and write it out.
Okay. Now, when you
Okay, that
say,
in color or black and white.
sorry, so when you say like download message, for some people who don't understand like mediumship, break that down for us.
Well, I mean, download is just a fun word. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you could call it channeling, you could call it just plain old mediumship. What
Mm-hmm.
it is, it's receiving a message just like a radio tower and or a TV tower, and it just goes bleep blop bloop blop into my head, and I just write it out. It's not an automatic writing where I'm sitting there and I'm kind of half in, half out. It is me just kind of sitting in a more relaxed state and listening.
Okay.
Yes.
that's really cool, actually. I'm thinking to myself, like, when you're getting it, is it like pictures? Is it words? Are you hearing it? What is?
Good question, actually. That is a yes, very good metaphysical question because mediumship comes with a lot of, if you know the psychic side or the clairvoyance, clairsentience. Mediumship uses a lot of that. So when spirit speaks to us, it has to speak to us with things that we know. So if we have a very small knowledge base, it has a very small way to communicate with us because we're not going to understand anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it can come in as pictures, it can come in as movies, it can come as straight somebody standing there and talking to me as an energy, a manifested energy. The manifested energies are usually far more rare just because of how much energy it takes to create that and
Mm-hmm.
the resonance of the spirit to be able to do that because they have to have that they have to be at that frequency to be able to pull a manifestation in front of your eyes. Um, so yeah, uh, and that's how it's
That's
done.
awesome. So you
But
really have no idea like what's coming at you then.
sometimes I do. Like, well, no, I do when I'm. How do I put this? Okay, so when I'm doing this, I'm thinking about the person. Okay, so I'm relaxing. I'm thinking about the person, and then and getting like feeling their vibe and like getting in there, and that's kind of like how you have to picture it. It's like a vacuum hose being connected to them, like one of those robots in a sci-fi
Oh, okay.
movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it kind of connects to their energy, and that's me connecting to that energy. And then I
Um,
kind of go back through it into their energy, and that's more how I can see their guides and everything. And again, they can just stand there and simply talk to me, and I write it out.
Mhm.
Or sometimes they come in right away in my head because that's where I ask them to come in because it's easier, again, for the energy and to see them and try to remember as I'm drawing. So I try to
Mhm.
keep them in my head.
mhm.
Sometimes they'll flip though. It's almost like a casino one-armed bandit, right?
Oh,
I start
okay.
seeing a whole bunch of pictures and I'm like, oh no, guys, this is crap. I can't draw all of you. I
We
could
slow it
only
down
draw
here.
one of you. So like the strongest one wins. Like this is how it's gonna go. And so that's how it goes. And really sometimes there is the odd time that I don't know who's coming out.
Hmm.
And it's
Okay.
not until they're on paper and it's like, okay, so you won. There has been a time before where it was like half and half. One side looked like a male, the other side looked like a female.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
I've been told from people that have bought them that their faces will change. It'll be weird, like it kind of weirds them out because they'll get like there's one in Brantford where she'll get a snottier face when she seems disgusted, or I don't know what they say, but that her face changes. So yeah, it's kind of neat.
Very cool. So before we get into the nitty gritty, we are going to take a moment for you to hit pause, to take a pee break, make a coffee, or whatever it is that you need to do So don't turn that dial. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Hurst, psychic medium, and you're listening to Weird Careers.
And welcome back to Weird Careers. We are joined by Vanessa Hurst, who is a psychic medium. Welcome back.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. Tell us about Seven Crows.
What about Seven Crows? There's
All of it.
lots about. Okay, well, Seven Crows hold the secrets. That's number one thing about Seven Crows. The name was created or thought up, I guess, way, way back in the early 2000s, way back in the caveman time. And and it was to do with the rhyme of the counting crows is what it is. And Seven Crows was it, they hold the secret. So I got my emblem where all the crows are pointing inwards, keeping the secrets inward.
Mm.
And what we do here in this little yellow school that I live in, it's very, very cool. It started out as a two-room schoolhouse, and then they built onto it. So it's a little bit bigger. Um, but I do have the most amazing primary classroom in this building. So chalkboard and everything. And so
Hello.
that is my,
Nice.
That's
yeah, so
cool.
that is my metaphysics room. And this is
So
where we
cool.
are. Yeah, we learn all the fun stuff, all the energy stuff, holistic stuff, in what we call the Great Hall, which is my portion of where I live in this. But I do open it up because I have a stage. We
Oh,
do
cool.
message services. Yeah, we do message services in here. We have now done movies in here
Oh,
Oh,
on
nice.
the very,
neat.
very large church wall. Beetlejuice was a hit. And so, yeah, we do a lot of stuff out here on Highway 3 and Quarry Road. Yes, out here in
Link
the
below.
boondocks. Yes, link below.
I can just imagine the
Right behind
vibe in
here.
there, like an old schoolhouse. It just seems so
I've
cool.
actually been hearing some really cool stuff lately. I mean, I always hear like, yeah, the energy stuff is very cool, Vanessa, and especially when you figure it out, like
Mhm.
especially when
Hmm.
you're pushing someone over without touching them or poking them and, you know, or getting poked, but know where you're getting poked, but you're not being touched. So it's all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, that energy work. So yeah, there's that energy, but lately I've been hearing that it's very healing here. So
Mm.
that's a plus. I like that because
Interesting.
I'm always, excuse me, I'm always into the metaphysics, right?
Hmm.
Like the zip zap, the energy, like
Mhm.
let's rock and roll. Let's like get our heads to turn around in a 360. Just kidding. We
Let's
don't do
not.
that. But we do table tip and we do seances and we do play with the Ouija boards and everything else. But yeah, it's really nice to hear how much this place feels like home to many people now.
I
It's
love
not just
that.
my home. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, so do I. It really gets you in the feels. And it's
Right in
like,
the
wow.
feels.
Yeah.
So on your website, which we haven't mentioned yet, but I'm going to mention here, is psychic medium vanessahurst.com. So on your website, it says you have other skills that you have acquired and attained over the years. What are these other skills that you have acquired?
Oh my goodness, what did I list on my site?
There's a few.
I do. I like.
Oh, I found. I was sorry. I was looking for the quote on the website here. I found it. So alongside her clairvoyant and psychic mediumship skills, she has honed her expertise in numerous other disciplines, allowing her to offer a well-rounded and comprehensive approach to spirituality.
Yes. Well, that would be everything that I teach. Yeah. Energy mostly.
Hmm.
That's the spirit and energy is my dig. That's my game. Like I just love, love, love um, teaching people that how big their energy really is
Hmm.
and how to maneuver and understand their energy so that they can help themselves out of a funk or acknowledge it
Mhm.
and be able to empower themselves. That is really cool. And as soon as you see them, the lights go on in their eyes, it's like, there it is. You got it.
I
And
love
then
that.
they're out ripping around the town doing it everywhere else. It's so, so, so cool to watch. And I think the biggest thing is the empowerment or the understanding that um how big our energy really, really is.
Hmm.
Like a lot of us think that we're just these little tiny little church mice, and meanwhile, you're
Hmm.
Godzilla. Your
Hmm.
energy can crush somebody's little village.
Hmm.
You don't want to do that, of course, but that's how big you are. We all have that ability, all the same. It's not like, yes, some people are born with a little more than others at first, but it doesn't mean that those others cannot work at it and practice
Hmm.
and become that. That's what's cool about my job.
On our last episode, we talked to a tarot reader, and I asked her what one of her favorite things about doing tarot is, and it's what you meant. One of the things that you mentioned as well is you see the non-believers come in, and it's that moment that's it's like a switch in your eye. If you haven't listened to that episode, make sure you listen to our previous episode with Amanda Klein, who is a tarot reader, for more information on tarot reading.
How did you start your business and how has it evolved to what it is today?
Oh boy, that's many moons ago. It started really more so with my uncle. He
Mm-hmm.
would fly me out to BC, and I would do the charity work in Vancouver or around like Vancouver, Richmond, Surrey. I almost said sorry, Surrey, BC. Um, and then we'd go down to Seattle, all that kind of fun stuff. And so he would sit me down at one of these fundraisers and he would look at me and he would say, "I'm throwing you to the wolves." And he would he would laugh and he would walk across the room and sit down at his seat and we would read say 15-minute readings all day long. And that's basically how he trained me when it came to doing charities, fundraisers. At home, I started with tarot and psychometry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would hold a piece. Psychometry is holding an item from somebody and getting the vibration off of that
Okay.
item. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was somebody that's passed on or in the living, whatever. So I'd use that and I would use tarot. At the beginning, I gave away a lot for free because I didn't have the confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was like $20 or $10. I
Mm-hmm.
never, so it was a few good years there where I literally did like the apprentice thing that, and I do say, like, I advise to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know your worth. Yeah, you know you're worth more than 10, $20 because you're
Mm-hmm.
helping with clarity,
Mhm.
but it's also very good for the soul, for the ego.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's really how it all got started. And as I said before, like I would bebop to other kinds of classes and learn other modalities. For 3 years. I did classes with a South American shaman
Mm.
based out of Delhi, Ontario, and did so many things in, I call it my cult years, uh, because it kind of was, um, but it wasn't at the same time. But I did learn a great deal of the energy work from this mentor, and I other things too, like how to make my own kendo armor, or like out of sheet metal and
Oh,
pound it out
cool.
myself. Oh yeah,
That's
like
neat.
oh yeah, it was great in the hot sun in a backyard with sand fleas. That was super. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. But I picked it, right? I chose it, and I
Mhm.
did, and it was wonderful though. Like, I mean, looking back, a lot of good friends and a lot of good lessons. And then just, of course, across the board. And then just built up and built up. And then that mentor gave me one piece of advice, and it was, Vanessa, be a virus. And I'm like, ew, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, a virus gets everywhere.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean it has to be a bad virus,
Mhm.
just be a virus. So yeah. So I became a virus.
What's the best thing about being a medium?
Well, the best thing about being a medium, oh, there's a few things, but the best thing is speaking to somebody's loved ones, and nailing their looks. So, okay, so a lot of times, because I love TV and movies, or music, Spirit will say, I look like so and so. And it, because maybe I'll be doing 8 readings that day. So we try to conserve on some energy. And I'll say, oh, so you're this man. Do you remember, let's say, the Honeymooners, and it's Jackie Gleason, looks like
Mhm.
Fred Flintstone, whatever. And they'll go, oh my God, that is so and so, that's Papa, or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's like absolutely fabulous. And it's not that the fact that I'm getting these hits, it's the fact that I'm getting them for them. And it's a
Mhm.
message for them, and I'm able to communicate that. That to me is mind blowing, even to this day. Absolutely mind blowing. And some of the things that can just like fall out of the sky. That's how it feels like to me. Like it's just like I'm this, robot that, I don't know, maybe with their hand, moving my mouth and saying something.
Oh, we're gonna
It
have to
is.
pause here for a sec. You're cutting out on us here. Oh,
I am.
yep. Oh, you're back now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, good. We'll cut the puppet one out. But it is sometimes how I feel. The words just show up and they're there. And a lot of times I don't know what they mean, but the other people do, my clients do, they know what they mean.
Mhm.
And it's, some of the most obscure, craziest things.
Crazy.
One of the first things that my uncle had always taught me was, make sure you say what you get,
Mhm.
even though it might be weird and crazy and this, that, and the other. Usually that's your one hitter, especially the crazy one. So just know how to word it, he would say.
Mhm.
Mm.
So obviously, where there is good in something, there's also bad in something. Where there's light, there is also dark. What is the hardest thing about being a medium?
The hardest thing is the grief,
Mhm.
is um, having, because I'm also an empath as well.
Mhm.
So I really feel this deeply, although, I know how to protect myself in that sense, you still feel it.
Mhm.
And it is, some of the grief is just so, so deep
Mhm.
that you can't even imagine in a million years. It's, I have no words for it. It's just, if there's any way that, I can help them through with spirit, helping along, I definitely do it.
That's awesome.
And try and take some of that weight before they leave my office.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's sometimes all people need is just that weight, that reassurance, that
Or the light, just to see some
just
light.
just to see that light too, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips or advice to anybody wanting to pursue mediumship as a career?
Yes. Now, I have to say, is this said person already a medium, or did they take a weekend warrior class and say they are a medium?
Let's
So by that, did they, take a legit class and, of course, work at it for quite some time, maybe do it on stage here or there? Um, Going out into the industry, the biggest thing is getting the meat and potatoes
mm-hmm.
of a message. That is it. Nobody wants to hear, this is horrible. Brace yourselves. Okay, maybe somebody does, but not for the most part wants to hear that they're with you, like there's like the angels are with you and the divas and blah 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 blah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay. But when it
Right.
comes to mediumship, they want evidential mediumship, which means we cannot Google that information.
Mm-hmm.
We give you a piece of confirmation, um, you know, whatever the little tidbit, it could be like, I ate my oatmeal at noon, and I give them that. They're like, oh my God, it's Granny Olivia, and so, yeah, so I would say always strive for that, even if it's one piece of evidential mediumship, strive for that. Don't fluff it up. If you don't got nothing, you got nothing, and that's okay. They don't always give messages. Sometimes they just stare at me like I have three heads. I'm sorry. Like, this is how they look, this is how they're standing, this is the vibe they're giving me, but I'm getting no messages. Oh, well, I guess, and on that, be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Be 100% honest.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Right.
fill it up with crud. It is what it is. Give the message to the best of your abilities how it is. That would be my advice. And it's really word of mouth. The more you do it, the better you get. Like, of course, the more practice, the more people are going to tell their friends, and they tell two friends, and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you for that. We're gonna take a little trip back in time. We're gonna go back in time a little bit here.
Yeah.
This is a question we ask every single one of our guests, and we have since episode 1.
Oh.
Season 1, episode 1, and this is a tradition that we have continued throughout the seasons and throughout the episodes.
Okay.
So I want you to think back. I want you to think back to when you were 7 or 8 years old. Like, we're traveling
Easy
back in time,
peasy.
okay?
Yes. Yeah.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be an actress, an artist, and own a tiger and live in the upstairs apartment in my parents' house that I would make. And
I
my friends
love
could stay
that.
there. And I became the artist, and I somewhat became the actress. I did do some bits on TV for this when it comes to the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And no, my parents didn't make an upstairs apartment. And I got dogs and a cat. Oh, crows. I got crows. That's different.
Hey.
Yes.
That's awesome. Alrighty.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Vanessa, for coming on and chatting with us today. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
insight and everything. It's been great.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate this podcast. You know, I never thought that I would be on a podcast that was weird jobs,
There's a first
but
for
I guess
everything.
I guess I have a weird job, don't I?
I would say so. It's definitely out of the ordinary. Thank you again, Vanessa, for
Uh,
coming on today. And it's been a slice.
Very nice meeting you both.
Hey, do you think that you've got a weird or interesting career? You'd be surprised.
Or what about your best friend? Or your neighbor? Or your auntie? Or your weed dealer? Okay, maybe not that last one.
But if you think you do or know somebody who does, email us at weirdcareerspodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you for joining us today. If you really enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps us to get noticed in the algorithm.
Until next time, I'm Jess.
And I'm Eric.
Cheers.